appears former Machakos Senator Johnson Muthama is also striking his own deals without the authority of the party.
The name Johnson Muthama has been going around the country making statements on behalf of Wiper, and yet we have never given him that role. Never. We've addressed him a letter to show cause why disciplinary action should not be taken against him, and he has 14 days to respond. If he fails to respond, we shall take appropriate action in accordance with our constitution. If you have in your records things that he has been saying or doing over the last 6 months, please delete all that.
Wiper Party Chairman Chirawani Mwakwere wants the media to delete any record of Muthama from the last 6 months because his views do not represent those of the party or its leader. Apparently, Muthama has been holding meetings with Makueni Governor Kibutha Kibwana, and he is also rumored to be discussing a political pact between Wiper and Deputy President William Ruto.
Honorable Kalonzo has always demonstrated to me, he is a brilliant fellow, very focused, but his ability to read the future is very warped. He seems to get things long after. That is why Honorable Raila was able to outwit him and all this. Yet it is, some of these things it is his to lose. The future is not in the coalition with the government. The future is with who will be in the next government. So that even if he was to be in a coalition with President Uhuru, he'll ask him, my brother, after 2020, where are you so that I also take my seat?
Yes.
Then he tells him, I'm going home. Then if you are going home, how do I take my seat? Or I want to be Prime Minister. Then you say, if you are Prime Minister, let me take the seat of President or Deputy President. This is it. But just coalitions that are just instruments deposited and thrown into some offices. So Muthama seems to know that the future is in the hands of people like Mheshimiwa Ruto, whether he is president or not. Is in the hands of people like Mudavadi. Is in the hands. The president will be in question if he says he wants the constitution amended and then he wants to play a role in public. But just going into coalition because the president has invited, he wants to give people jobs, that is where they have a disagreement with Muthama. And it is the same Muthama who said, let's go to Raila. Watch out, stop going round. Raila. He refused. Eventually he went. So, those who attack the likes of Muthama today seems to be asleep about 2022. The roadmap is there will likely to be a constitutional amendment creating these seats. So whenever you are entering a coalition, you must find your position. If we are with Raila and we are with Uhuru and we are with who and we are with who, so where will Raila sit? You say, I don't want to contest that one. Where will Honorable Uhuru sit? I don't want to contest that one. Now, where will I sit? Then they tell you, okay, you will sit here. Then you say, okay, our coalition agreement works like this. But this blind coalition agreement, leaving out, major players, it will be ill-fated because August next year, there will be realignments, serious realignments. The one President Moi tried to craft failed to work in 2002. The people who are in started moving. Jubilee itself at its goals will be closed down. The way TNA was closed, the way URP was closed, this one will also be closed down. And the new ones, or there may be Handshake Party of Kenya.
Section 46 of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Act 2015 by usurping the powers of the county officer in establishing an irregular tender evaluation committee composed of the governor's partisan staff, namely Pauline Kamau and Geshira Wayne, who directly take instructions from the governor and conveniently alternate as chairpersons of all major tender evaluation committees, contrary to Article 73 1B of the Constitution, so as to act as a conduit to award tenders to the governor's preferred bidders.
The County Assembly of Kirinyaga presenting its case against the governor as she dismisses her impeachment, saying that the MCAs are just out to settle political scores. The next few days will be quite fascinating after the governor's legal team delivered a truckload of evidence. Is this a legal process, and is the threshold for proving the case against the governor the same as the one you would need to establish in legal proceedings?
No, impeachment is a political process. It's not a legal process. Legal processes are a preserve of the judiciary. Determining rights is left for the judiciary. But political rights are determined in the political arena. People will be voting. They will not be voting on the basis of evidence. The first major issue will be they'll be voting on the basis of party. And then the question, if it is one party, the answer is this. When we talk about party, we talk about President Uhuru.
Yes.
We talk about Honorable Raila. That is party. We talk about William Samuel Ruto. Those are party. So where their hearts are, there are votes. If President Uhuru says convict, and Honorable Raila says I support, even if Anwar Guru was impeached for not taking a cup of tea with sugar, she'll go home. But if they say no, even if money is lost, you say go and tell EACC. It's not the work of Senate to do EACC work. That is it. So those truckloads are drama for the public. It's for you and me to go and speak good English there. Then it looks like, like a wedding. See, you know what the wedding is?
Yes.
It is not the throwing of rice or the wearing of white or green or people dancing and music. So that is the ceremony is what they are putting us through. So that when it comes, they tell you, you see, we went through, there was nothing. When they wanted YT to out, there was nothing. He was not even out to bring truckload of anything. he went home very quickly. When Duale was supposed to leave, ordinarily there should have been a given number of members asking for his leaving, not a non-member of parliament. Remember, President is not a member of parliament.
Yes.
So he didn't have the numbers. You remember Kemunya was collecting names.
Yes.
And they had not reached the threshold. So what did the president do? He said, we will ignore that. I will go into some rally. And I will say, by fiat, Kemunya. Then we said, let us see who is saying no. We want to see. You saw even Duale himself say, I'm okay. I'm game. The president say, hallelujah, thank you. In fact, you should have removed him yesterday. Everybody thanking the president for the wisdom. So this is it. Anwar Guru has visited Honorable Raila. I think I hear that. I didn't see myself. Maybe it's in the good books of the president. He's married to a good friend of mine, Kamodo Waiganjo. So also my prayers are with her. So what are working for Anwar Guru are much more than what is working for the people of Kirinyaga.
Meanwhile,
so let them rest in peace.
An attempt to bring an impeachment motion against the Transport CS James Macharia by Nyali MP Mohammed Ali was thrown out by the Speaker of the National Assembly yesterday for lack of evidence.
Not the small fish that people are used to. I promise Kenyans that I'm going to bring Jichopevu to Parliament. It will be lit when the motion reaches the floor of the House.
I have gone through the allegations purported by the member for Nyali, and I can tell you all those things are generalities, imaginations that are not admissible before this honorable House.
We know him as the extortionist that he is, and that will not be accepted in this season.
Kama tunatafuta viti kwa kutaka kuwa ugavana, tutumie njia nyingine.
Katika ile mswada kumetiwa mambo ya siasa mengi sana, mambo ambayo hatuna ushahidi nayo.
Even in the build-up to the Speaker's ruling yesterday, it appeared that the Jichopevu MP was isolated. Some of his own colleagues who had signed the motion disowned it, saying he had conned them, saying he wanted their signatures to guarantee his SACCO loan application. The whole issue was reduced to a joke.
I think I congratulate the Jichopevo fellow.
Yes.
He's already risen to the national limelight. Some of those who are yelling, I don't even know their names. So, and when you want to rise, Umbrella will teach you that when you want to go to the top, you take an axe and you hit it against a big mugumo tree.
Yes.
You pick on something big. So he has picked on the head boy of the institution of that place, Macharia himself. The part Macharia is holding is close to the hearts of who is who, so you should be very careful. But I think picking on him was a good strategic move for a young MP wanting to make a name. That's very good. And you can see his colleagues. Now. The crying like it is them who are big. But suppose President was to say, just to whisper to the same guys, maybe Honorable Gladys Wanga, all those people, and tell them, give me a way to remove this guy. He will hear them again in private, said, Macharia, even the water in Nairobi is blocking roads. We have to remove you. So, what they are doing is about the party position. But the young MP also is clever to have made a name for himself. If I was in parliament, this is the time I would look for something big. This is the time I would try to bring impeachment motion against the president. then the whole world will. You remember when LSK said, we are going to impeach the president? And the whole world was talking about it. And some of us in the law society were saying, hallelujah. Now the whole world knows. When you say, I'm a lawyer, I say, oh, lawyer in Kenya? You people, you wanted to impeach the president? Hey, yeah, we are very serious about it. In fact, that president is on his last days. Because they don't know the process. They don't know the impossibility. But it gives you profile. Some MPs are going to leave. Even the toilet attendants cannot tell their names. They can't. You only see them when they're distributing some fake checks called CDF checks.
In the toilet. Once again, Mulembe politics has been the center of national attention, with embattled Ford Kenya leader Senator Moses Wetangula being treated to tear gas in his attempt to meet the people of Bungoma.
We even informed the county commissioner and the police commandant of Bungoma that we are holding no rally. We're just passing and waving at our people as we come to my home.
I want to warn our brothers, the policemen. Let them know how to use that tear gas correctly. You don't use it on the innocent people. They have applied unnecessary force in Kamkuya, injuring so many women and children.
If anyone wants to talk or to work with the Mulembe nation, they should look for Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi.
That's a fire-spitting Chris Omalwa, who was part of that convoy that was dispersed by the police in Bungoma. The Amani National Congress leader, Musalia Mudavadi, is critical of double standards regarding public gatherings during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sheria ya wale wanaruhusiwa kuvunja masharti ya wizara ya Ministry of Health na kuenda bila polisi kuchukua hatua, na wale ambao wakijaribu kukutana wanaambiwa mnavunja sheria, hata wanazuiliwa kuenda kwa nyumbani zao. Hii sheria ni aina gani? Aidha mkubali watu wote wakutane wakati huu wa COVID, ama mkataze.
Mudavadi and Weta have a right to feel aggrieved, Weda, because they are tear-gassed, yet CS Eugene Wamalwa and Governor Wycliffe Oparanya ignore social distancing and even hold public events, and the police look the other way. It all seems like part of a grander plan to kick the two politicians out of their party leadership.
Two wrongs do not make a right. The mere fact that Eugene Wamalwa and Oparanya have made something wrong that endangers the lives of Kenyans does not mean that you also go and do it. Honorable Wetangula, gathering and walking around and saying he's homecoming or homegoing at a time when there's a crisis is wrong. He is expressed to have lost a brother to corona. He has seen that pain close at home. And people are now vulnerable, and he's our leader. When he calls, we will go. Sometimes we have no choice, so it is him to give us good example. It is him to tell us, don't go to where Eugene or who are calling people because you will be infected. But if you continue going, the buck stops with President Uhuru on matters corona. If we are dying in large numbers, we will blame him. So the question would be, Your Excellency, ensure that these things are enforced equally. Equally against Wetangula as against Eugene and the rest. But for them to go chest thumping that we notified the police, that one, even if I was the police, they are endangering the police. The police should have gone there with tear gas a bit and nyaunyo, so that we learn that it is wrong. For Eugene and whatever, also I'm sorry to say this, you don't know at what point they are government and at what point they are civilians. So if Eugene calls and says, look, I was meeting people discussing devolution affairs and how to deal with corona and lead us how to go back and cascade corona policy. He has some point. But you see, Wetangula is Raya like me when it comes to these matters. What am I saying? I'm saying you don't compete with government on matters like this. When they talk about Raila not being a member of the Mulembe Nation, Raila has always told us that he is one of them. So when he's uprooting them one by one, so that he remains the only son of the Mulembe Nation, they should not stop him via endangering our lives. Imagine cooking meat today. Meat. At this critical time. Funerals, as we used to eat meat in the funerals. Funerals are closed. There's no cooking. Then you cook meat. Surely when will come. Even me, I go to funerals and where there's meat, you go and eat. So the Israelites craved meat. They almost left God because of meat. So you cook meat. What do you expect people? They will come and they will get infected. It is unfortunate they were stopped. But if I was the Inspector General, I would have done it also.
And the court have made some interesting ruling this week. The Employment and Labor Relations Court ruled in a case filed by Okia Omtata and others that the transfer of 6,000 employees from Nairobi County to Nairobi Metropolitan Services was illegal and unconstitutional. The government of Kenya has 90 days to regularize that process. What do you make of that ruling?
Yeah, I think the transfer itself was wrong. Even the transfer of powers, it was more political. That I had said here in this program, that it was wrong. But we were between a rock and a hard place. You know what it means to be between a rock and a hard place? Like the being between the devil and the deep blue sea. You're on this side, you'll fall into the deep blue sea. On this side, the devil is standing. We have Sonko also, Sonkonizing the city. His own uniform as commander of the guards, commander-in-chief. Nothing is moving. We don't even have... did you know that you have to be rich for you to relieve yourself in Nairobi? Did you know that? Now, 10 bob is a lot of money, my dear. What this call of nature which comes, it does not discriminate between the billionaire and those who are sleeping on the street. Even basic toilets, we don't have. You see the governor doing this. So, a political process was initiated where he was coerced in a friendly manner to hand over power. The handover was illegal because it had to be done quickly. If you looked at the whole of it, it is illegal. It should have been ratified by the National Assembly, by the County Assembly, and then when it comes to county work, the workers, then there's a process which has to be done. But that will be rectified. I think it is rectifiable legally by asking the workers to voluntarily change, and then whatever they are owed, whatever their emoluments, either it is assumed by the Nairobi Metropolitan or they are paid. A determined government that has given 28 billion shilling now to build Nairobi, it is a small thing.
The Court of Appeal ruled that the contract for the standard gauge railway was illegal and flouted the procurement laws. Here is former Finance Minister Musalia Mudavadi's reaction to that ruling.
So much money has been spent through a process that has been found to have been riddled with illegalities. What does that mean for the money that has already been spent by the Kenyan people? The other thing that we would like to know is that clearly some of these resources are borrowed funds, or funds through which the taxpayer in Kenya will have to make payments. If these issues were illegal, what does that portend for the debt?
Serious issues raised by Musalia, but does this ruling have any bearing on the project itself or Kenya's repayment of debt owed to the Chinese?
The gist that is being bandied around, that the procurement process and all these things were not done and so on. The laws were done by Kenya, and they can change them. Those procurement processes were laws done by the Republic of Kenya. They can change them. Why? We took Chinese loan and we built railway. You can't tell the Chinese, oh, our court said this. Otherwise, people will be borrowing people's monies, then they go back to their countries, then they ask their judiciaries to make declarations. They say, you know, we can't pay you because our court. That is internal. That is an international agreement. It will have to be paid. The railway is there. You see it. Whether there were mistakes, those mistakes will contain internally. We can punish a few people internally. But the railway remains, the contract remains, and the work continues. So the worry is that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi has, he needs to hire me as advisory, political stroke, legal counsel on matters like this. For the Mwanjiko, it will, hey, it is illegal. Can you joke with Chinese law and you are not paying them?
Machakos County was reported to have recorded almost 4,000 girls who were pregnant in the last 4 months. As a parent and a leader in society, yes, you must be very concerned by reports of schoolgirls getting pregnant. Whether these numbers are accurate or exaggerated, we still have a crisis on our hands.
Those numbers are fake, if you ask me. Those numbers are very high. If you talk about 4,000 girls, you will find 1 or 2 relatives pregnant. Please. That alarmist statement also paints our girls bad. It also paints our society bad. It's not good for children to get pregnant. It is very sad for some of us. But when we exaggerate it, we cause desperation. And thank God that the CAS Health yesterday denied it. When I saw the figures, the way they were being bandied, my own, where I come from, almost 2,000 of them, you say, what do you mean? We know these things. They are not that many. It is bad, but they are not that many. Let's also stop. I know this could have been a narrative that has been is being bandied around to open schools. You know, when you want to capture people's imagination, you sponsor a study. Yes. You sponsor a study, then it gives you a narrative that you bank on every day. Open schools. That's how getting pregnant. Open schools. Hey, they'd rather be in school than they at home. Otherwise, 4,000 in a constituency. Because a sub-county is a constituency. Yes. It's a lot of girls. A lot. In fact, 4,000 going to give birth. You will have 4,000 children. A lot. Please.